Afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to be making this Floral Mother's Day card. The flowers are made from water and watercolour card. I saw it on Anne Melvin's YouTube channel, one of her older videos, and I thought I'd give it a go. So I'm making some lovely roses. So first of all, I colour the middles and around the edges on both sides of the watercolour card. I've got the little pot of little pot of water down there, ready and waiting. So basically you colour the edges or wherever you want to colour. Obviously you need a watercolour pen or ink pad for this technique. So you do both sides. Don't really need to do the middle on both sides, but I did. And then definitely need to do both sides of the petals on the edges or wherever you want to colour. You can do lines and things like that, which I'll probably experiment with as I go along. I found this a really nice technique for making flowers, actually, because a lot of my card that I've got is a bit too heavyweight. And I saw this and thought, oh, I've got to give it a go. And I'm so chuffed that I did because I love it. So anyway, you colour both sides as I did, and then you dip it in your water. Yes, it takes off some of your work, but you can go back again afterwards. You don't want to leave it in there too long because you don't want it completely drenched. But I just leave it in there whilst I do the next flower, and then as I'm ready to put that flower in, I take that one out. So I do this with all of the flowers that I'm going to make in the same way. So I do some very small ones, and then I do some middle and some large. And I'm going to make some roses. So I'm going to make 2 large and like a rose bud for this card. And then you take that bit out, place that one in, give it a poke down. And then with the tissue, just kind of dab the top of it, just so you get, the water that sits on the top, just get that off. And then with my pokey tool or something rounded, I just kind of twirl the edge so that it curls it over like a rose would be. And I do that with all of the edges on all of the flowers. It's easy to roll whilst it's wet, and obviously as it dries it will well, it's not wet, it's damp, but as it dries it will obviously dry with that shape. And then I'll just put the ball tool in the centre, just to so it's not flat in the centre. And as you can see, there's a big difference between the two. And then as it dries, if you find that you want it to be more coloured in certain places, just go back in with the ink, which is what I do a little bit later once I've got them all going. And then you just sort of do the same thing with all of the layers of roses that you want to do. And then this one's nearly dry, so I'm just going back in with some of the ink just to make some bits a bit darker. You do get nice, lovely pink fingers doing this. But, I didn't mind. It come off when I was washing up in the evening, so that was fine. Obviously, I washed them afterwards, but it didn't get it all off. But over time, it came off. And then this is quite tricky to explain, but for the very small ones that will kind of be the bud in the centre of the rose, I do 2 layers of the very small one. As you can see here, I'm gluing them together, but it doesn't actually work that well to begin with. And then I decide that I actually want to do it slightly different anyway, so it works out in my favour. But I wanted to leave this in just so that you can see. You can leave them as they are, but I wanted them to be a bit more closed. So what you need to do is, on one of the petals, is you put some glue. Don't put it on the front of the petal, but don't put it any further across than half of the petal. Then you want to get the petal that's next to it and put that kind of roughly halfway across that petal, and just give it a good hold and a pinch in your finger until it's until the glue's dry, and it just forms the bud. I'll show you my nice pink fingers. Yeah, so you just kind of, and you work your way round, just pinching, gluing half of the petal and then the one that's next to it, folding it over about halfway across the following one, pinching it until it's closed. Until it's dry. You want to kind of keep like the rosebud shape, so you don't want to, flatten it. You want it to be kind of rounded. So I found that pushing it onto the end of the ball tool really helped to sort of give that shape in, and it gave me something to press against for the glue to dry as well. And as you can see there, it's sort of closing itself in to give it that sort of rosebud shape. You'll see it a little bit better sort of as the flower progresses, and at the end you can see the centre's very kind of budded. Probably not a word, but it's rosebud shape. As you can see there, it's very small, which is what I wanted. And then you do the same with the next one. Obviously leave it slightly bigger so that it wraps around the very small one. So you glue in the centre and then obviously hold them together for the glue to set in the centre. And then what I done was I glued the petal in the same kind of way, but I didn't do it so that when the flower was finished being glued, all the petals being glued together, it was slightly bigger than the very small one, because obviously they need to sit together. So the very small one needs to sit in the slightly larger one. I don't think I'm explaining this very well, but I hope that you can get what I mean. So basically you want a very small one and then one slightly bigger. You could just do the one, the one very small one and then go up to the next size, but I did want them to be two smallish, one a very small one and one slightly bigger. And then on the medium size petal, again obviously glue it in the center, and then you add a little bit of glue on the base and just hold that in so that it's not glued at the top, it's only glued at the bottom to the very small ones in the center. You do need to hold it until the glue's properly dried to get the right shape, and you just work your way round doing the same with all of the petals. I do use my tacky glue because obviously it holds better than, it holds quicker, sorry. I'm just going to plug my computer in. So yeah, it holds quicker than another glue, like my All Purpose. these ball tools are really handy for helping you to have something to press against whilst doing this. It's quite fiddly, but you kind of get, if you can do it whilst the paper's still very slightly damp, the paper gives a bit more give. It's got a bit more give in it for you to sort of round it, sort of around the shape of the ball tool, so that it's not just a flat kind of surface. So the flower still has its sort of rounded shape to it on the base. And then you can leave it there for, you know, a smaller one, which I think I did on the small one. So that's 2 small, very small petals and then 2 medium. And then obviously, if you want to make it larger, you then add on the 2 larger dies. And as you work up, you just kind of, obviously they need to be glued in the centre so that they hold. But you glue lower and lower down, and then on the very final petal that I glue on, I only glue in the centre. I don't glue up any of the single petals to the next one up, so that it opens like a rose does. Again, I'm using the ball tool to push them so that they glue together on the bottom. And then I want to add a little bit of gold sparkle, so I use this gold glitter spray from Crafter's Companion. Just put it in my little messy box that I've got. I'm sure we've all got one of those. And just give them a quick blast over. There's not loads of gold on them, but that, you know, I just wanted a hint. And as you can see, I think they look really pretty. You can do them in all sorts of colours. And then for my card base, so it's going to be gold, pink, obviously the greens, and white. And it's going to be a Mother's Day card. So I'm going to have my card base, which is 5 3/4 by 7. I go down 1/4 of an inch and have a gold mirror mat. And then this lovely paper, which is from Crafter's Companion, My Special Papers. It's a big box that they launched. There's 3 of them now. And then this frame again is from Crafter's Companion, and I do the white on the top and then a very small gold shadow underneath, just to help it to stand off a little bit from, although the white would have stood off, but I just thought it'd give it a nice little touch really, and bring in the gold again. And then I just do a little drop shadow. The precision glue gun is brilliant for these sort of things. So glad I got one last year. It was my Christmas present, but I was allowed it before Christmas because my husband's a wonderful man and allowed me to have it early because I needed it, because I do have arthritis in my hands, so sticking on lots of glue is quite painful, but the precision glue gun has helped a lot with that. I know they're quite hard to get hold of, but yeah, I just sort of put it into Google and managed to find, I think there was a couple of places actually, not places that I'd heard of before, but I checked out the reviews on them before I bought it, and because I actually ordered it because my husband doesn't, bless him, he doesn't know what I want or what I need craft wise, so he lets me choose. Sometimes I'll leave things in baskets and then he'll pick and choose from those, so I do still get surprises. And then I've got this Happy Mother's Day sentiment die, and again I'm using the precision glue gun. I've cut it out in gold, and I'm going to stick it slightly higher on the frame, because the flowers are going to be in the bottom left, and with all the foliage and everything I need it to be higher, otherwise everything will come off the bottom of the card, which obviously you can have things coming off at the top and the sides, but obviously if you have it coming off at the bottom it's going to cause problems for the card to stand up. So I was aware of that. So I stuck it a little bit more to the top. I always do this when I've got intricate dies. Just dab it off a little bit just to make sure it's not going to squidge out, especially when I'm working with gold or silver mirror card or mirror card. It's a nightmare if it gets glue on it. I'll just dab a little bit off just to make sure that it's not grouped anywhere. Give it a good press down, and then I put my stamping press cube things that I've got and put them on it whilst I work on the other bits. And then I just glue this, and I'm going to glue it onto the card base slightly to the right, because again I'm going to have the flowers on the bottom left, and it leaves me room with the writing beyond on there as well, for all the flowers and everything, and then not coming off the base of the card. And again I'm just dabbing to make sure I've not got anything squidging. Although the precision glue gun does come out obviously a little bit at a time, I can be a little bit heavy-handed sometimes and squidge a little bit too much. I get a bit excited with the glue gun. And then I'm just placing my leaves and bits and pieces, just to, these ones I'm using at the minute, they're from Sizzix. No, they're not, sorry, they're from Jamie Rogers Crafts. I'd been looking for something like that for a long time, and they came out a few months back, and I was like, oh, ideal. They're exactly what I've been looking for. And they all cut at once as well. The whole die is like in one piece. I think it cuts about 7 or 8 pieces. So yeah, it's really handy. And then the green foliage is, these ones that I'm putting on now are from Sizzix. And then the other ones that I put on are from Sharon Callis, which I bought through Crafter's Companion. And I'm just kind of putting my flowers on to work out, so that I don't glue the foliage and you don't see any of it, because I just don't see the point in that. So I'm just working out where my flowers are going, and just kind of adding the foliage so that I know you can still see it. And I'm putting those on with oh dear God, tacky glue. That's the one. I hope this inspires you to give this flower making a go, because obviously you've got flower forming foam, which is great. But I absolutely loved making these flowers, and I will definitely be doing it again, because like I say, the cardstock that I've got to make flowers is quite a heavy weight. And I've got lots of watercolour card, and I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. It popped up on my YouTube channel from videos that I watch, because I follow Anne Melvin and Positively Papercraft, and it was one of her very old videos, and I thought, oh, that's an idea, I'll give that a go. And I did, and I loved it, so I'll definitely be doing it again. So thank you, Anne. So yeah, I hope that it inspires you. I've had a lot of interest in this card because I make to sell, and I've had a few people inquire about it, so I think it'll be sold before long, and I could well be making another one. But I'll do a different colour scheme probably. And then I'm just gluing the flowers on with some hot glue. And I just make sure they're glued in well by putting the ball tool in the centre of them, just to push them down as as the glue's drying. I thought they looked really quite realistic as well, which was really good. As you can see, I've got some of the foliage left that I cut out, so that will just go in one of my drawers for another project, which is fine. And there we have it, the flowers. I think it's a lovely card. I'll be very happy to receive that. Obviously, you'll probably need to make a box envelope for it, because obviously the flowers make it a deeper card, but I think they're only not even half an inch deep, so obviously you can make them deeper, but I didn't want to, so I'll probably make a envelope which is about half an inch deep, just to make sure it's deep enough, maybe even less than that. And then I decided to put some gold gems in the centre, which was not an easy task because the centre's so tiny with where I've done like the rose bud. Yeah, it was a bit of a mission to try and get them in there, but it was worth it because I think they look lovely in there. And you won't see it on the video, which is a bit of a shame, but obviously the flowers, they have got just a little hint of gold, the gold sort of glitter from the spray that I put on. But yeah, it's a shame that the camera doesn't sort of pick it up. But yeah, there we go. That's today's make. I really hope it inspires you. It is so much fun. It is messy, but it is so much fun, and I am so gonna do it again, because this is probably my most favourite way of making flowers now. So I'm gonna have a play with different shapes and styles. So yeah, subscribe, keep your eyes peeled, because there will be more to come. But yeah, I loved it. So I hope it inspires you. I hope you like the card. I hope you give it a go. If you do, let me know. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It will help my channel to reach other people. And subscribing's free. It takes 2 seconds, and it will help you to see the next things that are coming up. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.